From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew.
Hello, and welcome to Blind Android Users. This is going to be episode 271, and we are recording on February 14th, 2026. I'll be joined today by Warren Carr and Karine Kwan. The others are out celebrating Valentine's Day, so they won't be joining us today. We have a few things for you today, starting with Android Basics. We'll be discussing whether or not we think a flagship level device is required to have a good experience with TalkBack and other screen readers. After that is a spotlight where Warren's going to be letting us know what is new in Android 17. And then we have an app of the week where I will be demonstrating Anytime Podcast Player. How's everybody doing today? Warren, what's up?
Well, thank you so much, John. It's Valentine for people out there who like to celebrate silly stuff like that. Well, you know what I mean. But anyway, I don't know that I want to just one day say, hey, I love you or this, whatever. But if you're into that tradition, happy Valentine's to you. You know, I don't give a rat about it. I mean, every day is a good, loving day for me. Good thing. My wife understands that. So we'll still go out and do some things or whatever the case may be. But otherwise, everything is going on well. My mouth is feeling better. My root canal that I had last week is feeling better. And I'll be going back on the 4th of March for filling. And then the crowning comes in on March the 18th. And I'll officially become the Duke of Earl. Weather-wise, we're not doing bad. We're currently at 30 degrees and nothing in the forecast in the way of snow. Other than that, that's what we got. And glad to be here. Hoping you guys also are having a good one. John, what's going on at your end?
Well, we don't really have much plans for today. We did our Valentine's last night. Well, as much as we were going to do, we just went out to the Olive Garden, me, Ashley, and Jack. So we had a good time. Other than that, it's just going to be a pretty typical weekend for us. What about you, Karine? Do you have any plans? Or did you have any plans?
Well, actually, I'm with Warren today in saying that this is just silly. Because, to be very honest, if you want to just use a special or a specific day, this date is for that, or if I want to express my love, I should just do it at that day. So it's something ridiculous, to be very honest. And I don't want anyone to tell me when I should express my feelings. So that's the point about Valentine. So I'm sorry. I know that there are people who like this and who consider it as a very, very important occasion. But for me, it's nothing. Not because or being in a relation or not is not having any impact here. The importance here is just in the way or the point of just letting others decide when you should do this or when you should do that or when you should bring this to the one that you love or not. So that's my point. Other than that, everything is going well here, and it's raining actually, but we are not having really a cold weather. But it's still rainy. This week we had some good rain, but still we can consider the weather not really the cold weather that we get in February, but it's good.
But you like the rain, so that's a good thing out there for you as one who likes the rain, right?
Yeah, indeed. I like rain so much.
You go out there and let it kind of drip on your head a little bit, or you just like the sound of it?
No, I like it to like I like the feeling of having rain on my head, on my arms, everywhere. I like rain so much.
Oh boy.
So don't say that I'm not romantic or something. I know what you say usually, so it's fine.
I hate the feel of rain. I don't know why. I would rather be in a blizzard than have a single drop of rain on my head. That's how much I hate the rain, carrying. But I'm glad, others like it. I mean, like my wife, my daughter, they're like, "Oh, rain is great. Be out in the rain." Hell no, I don't care about rain. It makes me cold for some reason. Yet in the same breath, I'll be out there in the snow. So I don't know. I just don't like it. Gets me. It's kind of that wet feeling. The snow doesn't get you all that wet, and so I don't know. I just don't like all that rain. John, you like the rain coming down on your head? I hate it.
I don't mind it. It's nice. Yeah. I
Well,
think
I
I
guess
fall
I'm
between.
the odd one out.
I fall in the middle. It doesn't bother. As long as I know I can try off if I need to when I get home, then yeah, I'm fine with it.
Wow. I wish I were like you guys, but I just couldn't. Rain is not my thing. And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics.
So now we're turning to the Android Basics segment where we'll be talking about flagship devices. Do we need them or not? Take it away, Warren.
Well, I was going to cede that to Karin first, but I will take it. So we're talking about these flagship and mid-range devices, and sometimes you have a budget or whatever, below budget devices and all of that. Now, frankly, to be honest, this is a debate that has been going on for a while, or whatever it used to be, that mid-range devices, for example, were just not very good, or one did not have good experience with those things. But I would like to argue that nowadays, though, they've kind of closed that gap to where it's hard to really draw a line between the two. Yeah, there are certain differences or inferences that one could draw from these flagship and non-flagship devices, especially those mid-rangers. But then, those differences are very small in comparison when one compares it to what it used to be in the past. And so I'm just sitting here thinking about the subject matter, and I'm looking at these great mid-rangers. Most especially these days, it's surprising that we're talking about $400, $500 phones as mid-rangers. This is mind-boggling because that's a lot of money, considering the fact that earlier on, most of the flagship devices were like maybe $500 something, $600 plus at the most, and now we're paying over $1,000, $1,500, and if you're John, you're getting the new Samsung or whatever, $3,000. Hey, I'm not gonna do that. So
hey, don't call me out for that. I'm not spending $3,000 on that phone.
You're not gonna do that? What happened?
No. I was kidding about that. I just bought, or I should say, my wife just bought 4 appliances for $2,000. I'm not gonna spend an extra $1,000 on a phone. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. I'm sitting here thinking, who would want to pay $3,000 for a phone? But really, so the whole idea here is, now that is like a car, a used car, a damn good used car. Excuse my Espanol, if you will. That's a good used car. You may get a nice, good used car for $3,000. And to take that and dump it on the phone, and then next year you're doing the same thing again. I think time has come to where we need to rethink this wholesome idea of buying a flagship phone. Now, I'm preaching to the choir here, preaching to myself here, getting a new Pixel flagship every year, the one with the most storage and all of that. And I got to thinking about that yesterday as we were talking about this today. And I got thinking about it yesterday. And I was saying to myself, my gosh, every year one is dumping over $1,000 on a phone. Well, now and then, one may trade in. I never used to trade in, but I've started for last couple years. I've traded in devices. And so this year I'm thinking of trading in again. But now back to the subject matter at hand. Do we really, or does one really need to spend all that money on that big flagship device? And the reason why we do this is because, we want that good responsiveness, or we want our screen reader to be responsive and do what we want to do. Now, the truth is that these mid-rangers, these $400, $500 devices, perform just as well, whether they're running the Snapdragon 600 series or 700 series, or the MediaTek 7000 series, or whatever. One has that same good experience. And most especially, I think another part of the reason why we want these things, or the flagship device, and I'm looking at those of us who are blind, is because when it comes to the camera and all of that, we want a good camera scanning and all of that. And to be honest, I haven't seen any disappointment on a mid-range device. For example, maybe I'm trying to scan something, whether I'm using an OCR package or using something like Gemini, doing Gemini Live, or using something like Lookout and all of that. My observation is that those mid-rangers do the same good job in as much as the flagship devices do. So the question here is, do we really need them? And if one does not have the money, then my thinking is that if you're able to afford something like $500, because most of them like $499, $449, whatever. I wish we get rid of this wholesome 0.99, whatever nonsense. Who are we fooling here? It's $500. Let's be honest with ourselves, or $450. But all this 0.99, I just don't buy any of that nonsense. So, Taryn, what do you think? And then we'll talk about the responsiveness of the the screen readers and apps in general.
So I'm not revealing a secret when I say that I'm the one in the podcast crew and Accessible Android teams who uses the mid-ranger, because actually this is what I was able to afford, or this is what I'm still able to afford, and this is making me the one who is able to talk about the experience from, like, it's a real life experience. It's really someone who's using this device. So to be honest, I think that things have improved so much compared to how things were before. Now a mid-ranger can give you a good experience. Yeah, there'll still be slight difference, and this difference it's not only with a screen reader. The difference is in the whole experience, and this is not only for me as a blind person, it's for a sighted person as well. So in fact, if the phones will be the same in all aspects, then nobody would get the high-end devices. So there should be difference here and there. So this difference, I may feel it more sometimes as a screen reader user, because there could be a slight impact on the responsiveness, or there could be a slight lag sometimes, but I think it's acceptable. I got my phone for about $400, or actually I got it for $420. It was, I think it was released a month before I got it, and it was just $420. So, and those mid-rangers usually are discounted quickly. So if you just wait for maybe 2 or 3 months, you get the $420 phone for about $380 or $370. And this is very good for what a mid-ranger can give you in these days, because you're getting actually IP rating you are getting stereo speakers, you're getting an acceptable processor, you're getting good battery. So all of this wasn't possible before. So when you got a mid-ranger before, you wouldn't get any of these things that were reserved for the high-end devices. And the mid-rangers are having better processors right now compared to how they were before. So I think all of this is for the advantage of people, of consumers, because to be very honest, and we all know that not everyone is able to spend $800 and $900 and $1,000 on a phone. So some people just have more important things to spend money on. So, and it's not a small difference when you say that $400 or $1,000. We were talking about $600 difference. So I think that you would get a good experience. You would get something that that can just let you do the things that you have to do. And I don't think that we are really losing much when we are getting mid-rangers. But I think that people should pay attention to some things. First of all, the company that you are getting the phone from, some companies are so much aggressive when it comes to RAM management, when it comes to battery to battery optimizations. So when you have such type of device, sometimes this ruins actually the experience, because you're a screen reader user and you're a TTS engine user. If any of the two is shut down by the system, you are having trouble. So, and there are Chinese manufacturers who aren't really paying attention to this fact, and screen readers are just stopped. So Jisho, for example, is trying so much to not be killed by the system. So this is a real problem. You should pay attention to this. Also, the amount of RAM that you get, don't go for very like for 2 gigs of RAM or 4 gigs of RAM right now. It's not something that, because the system also, when it needs to have RAM for other stuff, it could just kill the screen reader or the TTS engine that you're using. And to summarize things, or to add one thing actually before summarizing the thing, just try to not go for very low end devices. I know that there are people are on tight budget and they can't really pay much, but try to get maybe a used phone, which is a mid-ranger or a high-end device from several years ago. I think it's better than getting one of the very low-end devices. Yeah, the phone will work, okay. Like if you get a 05 or a 04 or whatever, it will work. But the thing is that it won't be the best experience, because even for sighted people, those phones struggle. So for example, I know someone who has an Honor X5B, which is it retails for $80 or $85. So the person is sighted, but if the person has problems, even when the person answers the phone, it takes about 3 seconds really for the phone to yeah, okay, the person just tapped the answer button, I should just react. So this is a real problem. And just imagine if you are a blind person, so you have a screen reader which is also working, so the experience would be really terrible, so much terrible, because if it's terrible for a sighted person, it would be more problematic for a blind user. So to say, in summary, the thing is just try to get something which is good mid-ranger. Just stay away from the very low-end devices. And if you can afford a flagship and you think that you might need it, just go for it. It's just you're treating yourself, and it's good. You have sometimes to feel that you're owning something pro. So it's something also not a bad idea.
You raised up some very important issues here, or rather subject matter here, Karen, or characteristics. I first want to start though with the battery, because apparently for some reason, some of those mid-rangers have better battery, bigger batteries than even the flagship devices. Samsung, I'm looking at you. So, John, I'm looking at the guys from Samsung, for example. They will give maybe like a 5,000 milliamp battery for a mid-ranger, some of those A series devices. And then in the same breath, will give like a flagship, like a 40 something 100 milliamp battery, for example. And so it is important that those things have that big battery, like you mentioned, Karen. And then another thing that you mentioned also has to do with the speaker. So my take is that if you're getting a mid-ranger or any other phone for that matter, it makes sense to have one that has dual speakers if possible. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like that single bottom firing speaker. And it's like in the olden days, and some still even do it, like on those low end devices that you mentioned, Carrie, and still have it like, but at the bottom and yet facing toward the back. And so you put it on a table, for example, that thing could get muffled, or if you hold it in your palm or whatever, that thing could get muffled, for example. So there are some things to look for, to be aware of when you're getting a mid-ranger. Make sure that it has that big battery, and then also make sure that it has dual speakers. Then you touched on the subject matter of RAM, Karen. That's very important. But I think that nowadays, though, most of those mid-ranges, they have either 4 or 6 gigs of RAM, no? Am I mistaken? I don't think they make them with 2 gigs of RAM anymore, unless, of course, you're getting those that are like the $200 range, or, you know, like the $80 one that you are talking about, or going back to the day when I got the LG Sunrise for my kids. It was a $20 phone. And it has you know, talkback on it, and I turned talkback on. I was surprised it actually worked. But I'm talking about a $20 phone here from several years ago. Maybe was it 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. But really, when we're talking about these mid-rangers, so we got 2 categories here. You got the high-end mid-ranger. I'm looking at all the A55s and A56 and whatever from Samsung, and the A series from Google. Those are the ones that I will consider high-end mid-rangers. And then you have those that fall within like $200. I'm looking at you, like the Samsung A17 series, and some of those S16s, those fall within the $200, $300 range. So you see, the gamut now covers over a multitude of areas, where it gives us options as to what we can choose from, whether we want a higher end mid-ranger or a lower end, and then a budget below budget phones and all of that. So one needs to kind of pay attention to what they're getting. And in each and every one of those categories, there's always something good, and always a little trade-off and carrying, like you mentioned. Sometimes an app may stutter because maybe the RAM is not enough and it's being shared. And so when it comes to that, and then you add accessibility on there, and it's constantly talking. And you mentioned some of the Chinese phones carrying earlier on, how they manage TTS engines or screen readers, for example. And I know there's been a little bit of a problem with Eloquence, where especially some of those Chinese phones are kind of making it hard for those using Eloquence to use the TTS engine, because they're killing it, like you indicated, or kind of like putting it to sleep or whatever. So those are pitfalls one should be looking out for when you're getting a mid-range device. Or like you said, Karen, I always refer to the flagship from yesteryears as yesterday's wine. I think it's a good thing. If you don't have money, and money is a concern, frankly, even if you get a flagship device from, say, 2022 or even 2021, it will be better than some of the lower mid-range devices in the $200 range. For example, let's say you go back and get something like Galaxy S21 Ultra from 2021 and you compare it to something like maybe the A16 or A14 or A12, that S21 Ultra will just run circles around that A14 or A12. So it makes sense. I know we want to save money, but for me, I would rather get yesterday's wine versus getting a very low mid-range device. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Basically, stay away from the lower end stuff, especially if you're switching from iPhone, because you will notice it. I mean, I might get in trouble for saying this, but I don't think TalkBack at its best is even as fast as VoiceOver. So, yeah, it does struggle.
No question here, John. No one is going to give you grief about it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and the closer to the lower end you get, the more you'll notice it. But like Kareem pointed out, mid range is really the sweet spot. Even if you have to get a used mid range, it's better because I'll just give an example. Like, so if you're going to buy a $400 phone instead of a $200 phone, you'd expect it to run twice as fast, and it actually does. It does run. It probably does run twice as fast. But then if you go up higher from like 400, say you go from 400 to $800 phone, like you into flagship territory, that flagship is not going to run twice as fast as the $400 phone. And, I mean, you'll notice a difference, but it may be like a 10% difference or something. So I think the sweet spot is the mid-range. Like at that point, yeah, paying more money will get you a little bit better performance, but not much really.
And we have also the flagship killers, which are the phones that aren't really having the same price as the flagship, but they're not also the mid-rangers. So you don't get it, for example, for $400. You get it for $600, for example, or $550 or something. So those phones usually use like, for example, the high-end processor of last year, for example, the Honor 500 Pro, which I really hope to see in the global market because my eyes are on this device, really, but it's still in China. But I'll give it as an example. This phone uses the Elite chip, which is the high-end Qualcomm chip of last year. So this phone, for example, should be retailed for about maybe $600. So it gives you nearly the same experience as a flagship, but it's not a flagship, and you're not paying really the flagship price. Also, it has a good battery. It has the IP69 rating. So this is one example. Another example,
yeah,
the problem is
as well with the R series.
Exactly, I was going to talk about the 15R. But
yeah, and
the problem is with
the 13. I almost said 14R, but the 13R was the same. It's just got a year-old processor, which year over year these processors don't improve that much. So it really is a good value just to get a new phone with a year-old processor in it.
Yeah, it will give you a better experience than a mid-ranger. So because as we all said it, you won't be getting the same experience because actually you're getting a different processor, and companies don't want you to get the same experience. However, yeah, I know that there could be a slight difference, as you mentioned. It could be maybe 10%, 15%, whatever in the screen reader department. But I think if Google tries to let the TalkBack work better on devices, because the problem is that even on flagships you don't have the same experience that you get with iPhones. And I think that we should all agree on that. There was a discussion on the Telegram group before, but really, there is still really a problem because I used iPhones before. Actually, they are not my phones at all, but I felt the difference. I felt how snappy VoiceOver is on an iPhone, but I don't think that anyone on Android is able to get the same experience, even if you get the best device available. So I think there's a real problem with the screen reader itself, with TalkBack itself. It lags sometimes. Yeah, it has gone like a serious like it was very bad before. It's now better. It's now like moving in the right direction, let's say, but it still needs work. It still needs some improvements, some refinements. Let's say, for example, when you scroll, you will feel the like it takes a little bit of time to stabilize the focus. So you scroll, then items appear on the screen. Talkback takes a slight time to just focus on the item, and so you can just continue working. And also in web views, when you're working, for example, if there's a web view and you have ads, for example, you will feel the trouble sometimes on websites that have a lot of content, for example, if there are animations and things, so you will feel that problem. So I think the issue lies with the screen reader itself, not with the device that you are using, because if Google wants to fix this, it can fix it. It can fix it also for mid-rangers, and I think this would make the experience just better on a mid-ranger for a screen reader user, and I think that would make the difference in responsiveness just less noticeable.
You mentioned those flagship killers, and Karine, the one that just came to my mind is the Poco 9 series that is now coming through. And as you indicated, these use actually the same chip, and sometimes maybe like from last year and all of that. Now, seriously, so if one wants to have a flagship device and doesn't want to really spend $1,000 or over $1,000, as most of them are these days, then the best thing to do is to get one of those flagship killers. And I'm looking at those R series that you mentioned, guys, from OnePlus, and then especially the Poco phones, which have very good chip from Snapdragon, and usually it's either like last year or sometimes even this year's chip, but may not be like the elite one or whatever. So if you're getting that in between that $1,000 plus and the $400 or $500, and it's kind of sandwiched between those two, I think you have the best of both worlds. And John, you mentioned something earlier, which is very important. Let's say you got a $500 top of the high-end mid-ranger, and you get a flagship costing $1,200, $1,400. And if the improvement or the differences between these two is just like maybe 10%, a little bit better on that $1,400 compared to that $500 phone, frankly, I don't think it's worth all that money, unless, of course, you are one of us who is crazy about wanting that stuff because you've kind of been conditioned and locked into that motel where you can't find a door out.
Yeah, do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I probably a month from now I'll probably have a version of the S26. I don't know which version, but you know me, so.
I know
as
you're
I
eyeing
do.
that ultra. Yeah.
But I guarantee I'm not spending $300 or $3,000 on that trifold. I can promise you that.
No. Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking about it, and frankly, and here it wouldn't be too long before we start hearing the buzz, the buzzing rumors about the Pixel 11 and all of that, and then that high fever pitch thing going on, and then oh gosh, I can't wait to get it, and it's like a disease that you can't cure yourself of, and sometimes I'm saying to myself, my gosh, why can't I stop this? I want to stop. It's like the damn watch. Excuse my Espanol. I said, I'm not going to get the watch. And then guess what? I got it. Now I'm saying to myself this year, I'm not going to get the watch 5. But we'll see what happens. But so finally, going back to this, really, it's just that that 10%, does it really warrant the extra $800, extra $900? I mean, because I'm looking at my Pixel with the 1 TB. When it was all said and done, it was like 1,600 and something with taxes and all of that. Now, is that worth all of that? Just getting a 10% more, performance compared to a high-end, mid-ranger. So it's totally up to the person. But we're saying these things so that people have an idea of what to look for, so that you don't get yourself trapped in that motel, most especially if you're trying to find something better to do with your moolah other than throwing it on the phone year in, year out, because it's it's a vicious circle, and it's not very good.
Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight.
And now we're moving on to the Spotlight segment where we'll be talking about Android 17 beta, which has, believe it or not, already arrived. Warren, what's new in this?
So Android 17 beta 1, and it was something different this year. Unlike last year, we had the developer preview back like in November. I mean, I'm talking of Android 16. That's the year before. I mean, the iteration before. I don't want to get mixed up here. But so in Android 16, we had that developer preview come through in November, and I was thinking we were going to have it. But Google didn't. And so they did something different this year. And the reason, in my never to be humble opinion, all is owed to the fact that we now have that Android Canary, which developers can, play with and see what is coming. And so because of that, Google decided to take a different route. And so instead of having developer previews, we don't have those anymore, because if you want a developer preview, you better enroll in the Canary. I had it enrolled on my Pixel 8, and yeah, it was ahead of the curve and all of that. And some of those things would come into the regular Android later on, but this is where developers will see what the roadmap is, things that may or may not come to Android. And so as a result of that, Google got rid of the developer program. And so here we are. Instead, we just start with the beta series, and which is good in my never to be humble opinion. So we got that first beta for Android 17. And to be honest, I do not think that there's anything that I have found accessibility-wise that is new to speak of. A matter of fact, mine came with Android 16.0, and I had to update my talkback to Android Accessibility Suites. I can't even speak. Android Accessibility Suite 16.2, or else it was with talkback 16.0. So really, nothing in there that is new when it comes to accessibility. If there's anything that's new, though, lots of it is just visual stuff, and even that, not much to write home about. If you have QPR3 beta 2.1, for example, some of those things are just the same, or some of the things in the Canary are there, and the Canary still has some stuff that are not even in this Android 17 beta 1. But the one thing, if you have some site, I know some people have been complaining about, it has to do with that bar at the bottom, the search bar, the Google search bar that you found at the bottom of the dock that people don't like, that black bar there. Now you can actually customize that. So you long press on that, and you could choose whether you want it dark, you want it light, or you could tap on custom, and you can choose it to be transparent, and you can tweak it some more. And then another thing is that you can add other things to that bar or remove stuff from it. For example, we got the AI search in there. If you want to replace it with something else, there are a bunch of things on there that you could replace it with, or you can put there on that bar, things like translate, weather, news, and all of that. You could decide to add those to that bar. And so that's one of those changes that Android 17 beta 1 brought alongside with it. And then another thing, though, that I noticed is that when you go into the system settings, they are a little bit more compact, not a lot of spaces like it used to be. And then some things got reorganized a little bit. For example, if you go into privacy and you go into, I think, more privacy or whatever, you see the health apps and all of that. It's kind of a little bit redesigned and a little bit more called like Health Connect or Health whatever. I don't remember what it is, but that's one of those changes. To be honest, other than that, yeah, there's some visuals, like I said, especially maybe like in the quick panel and some of that, but we don't have a separation between the notification and the quick panel like one has with a Samsung device. So I thought that was coming, but it's not there. So so far as I'm concerned, I think those are some of the very few changes that I saw in there. I had it done late last night, so I haven't really finished playing with it much, but these are some of the things that I saw.
I do love cinnamon buns.
you love cinnamon buns, John. You know what?
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Just so listeners know, this is the code name for. I'm not just randomly starting over here.
No, you're right. You're right. That boy. You know what? It used to be that I like cinnamon stuff, most especially like in my apple cider and all of that. I like that in my apple cider. But yeah, the cinnamon buns, I don't know. Now and then I may eat it, but they're kind of a little bit too sugary for.
I think they're one of my favorite desserts, right up there with cheesecake. I think cheesecake is probably my favorite, and then cinnamon buns.
Oh my goodness, Karen, how about you? You like cinnamon bun?
Cinnamon is only used on meat and on chicken for me because I don't like it at all in desserts.
So no cinnamon buns for you then.
No.
Yeah, I mean now and then. But to be honest, I don't remember when the last time that I ate a cinnamon bun. Probably maybe 10 years ago. So it tells you I'm not a lover, and it's such a bad word to say on Valentine for those of you who really care about Valentine. So, I'm not a lover, not a hater either. But it's yeah, so there goes that cinnamon bun, John. Maybe you could have one tonight just to celebrate Android 17 Beta 1.
Sure, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I really wish that Google didn't stop that naming of Android versions that we had before. I know that they are just still using it internally. But I think that was cool. It was something like making Android stand out, unlike iOS. But I don't know. They like just to go for stuff that is like the traditional things. So we still like from time to time just to remember what was that Android 4.0 and what that Android 4.2 called and that stuff. So I don't know, but that was something really nice, but Google just removed or stopped that, all of that. But it's still, as you already said, it's still used internally, but not for the official naming of the versions.
Yeah, we just have boring numbers now.
Yeah, and who knows? Those boring numbers may graduate to something else and be like Fruitvale, and
They better not graduate to the year.
Android 27, Android 28. I'll hit that.
I bet it will.
No, please,
That'd be so
no.
disappointing.
Yeah, I think that right now, though, Android 16, Android 17, that's not bad. At least it tells you how long it's been there, right? Instead of saying, oh, we're now Android 29 or 2029 or whatever. That's nonsense. I mean,
does it tell you how long it's been there? Because it hasn't always been one full version every year. Like early on, every year it'd be like 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. Remember? Early on, it didn't go.
Yeah, it did
was like,
yeah, it was like that, and it was very confusing. I hated that myself. I think I prefer the numbering to the point version that we used to have. And oh my gosh, it was very annoying. And I think that's why we have these QPRs instead, and which I think the QPR program is a better program when you compare it to all of that nonsense that we used to have back then, Android Lollipop 5.0, 5.1, 5.2, whatever, you get that new guy.
Not really.
No?
Not really. No, because let me tell you something. If I'm changing a full version, like I'm saying 4.0 to 5.0, this means that there should be a real change. But to be honest, right now, only they are just we have just refinements. So I don't think that there's really a big difference between Android 16 and Android 17. It's just refining the experience for the user. So if you call it Android 16.1, what's the problem?
And same with TalkBack, because they're just trying to keep it in sync with Android. So we're gonna get TalkBack 17, or we're gonna get that's what's next, TalkBack 17, but it's not gonna be like that much better than 16.2. It's just the next year now, so it's gonna get the new number, even though it could be basically the same thing.
Yeah, but even the point thing that you mentioned earlier, Karen, it was the same thing. There was nothing much to write home about either. I mean, earlier on, it made a difference, especially when you're looking at the KitKat. You talked about the 4.3 that became KitKat, or 4.4? Yeah, I think
4.4.
That made a little difference. But frankly, after that, and I'm looking at the Nougat, for example, Nougat 7.0, 7.1, 7.11, it was all nonsense. Just basically, just a little tweak here and there, but nothing different. So really, because I think that in Android, when we look at it, there's been 2 or 3 changes or major changes with Lollipop when we have that, was that called the material design? I hope my memory serves me right. I think that was a major change from that hollow looking thing back in the days of KitKat and the others. And then, of course, we have that material U, and then we have the expressive. And so there's been 3 major changes. But other than that, nothing really changed with those 0.1. So it's the same thing as those numbers, in my never to be humble opinion.
Yeah, but this should be the case.
Buy the new phone. You need to know you have the new Android version first before anyone else, and that's what helps sell devices. So they just say,
exactly.
And this is a perfect example. You couldn't find anything new in Android 17, right? The only thing new about it is that we're now in 2026, and we're going to try to sell some more phones.
Well, so this means that Android before was for geeks only and tech-savvy people. Right now, it's for the general consumer. For that reason, they should just try to be making the things that other companies make, and they should just let the user feel that, okay, I'm getting something new. Because if you say, I'm getting Android 16.1, okay, what's the point? But if it's Android 17, then this could be, wow, something great. But I don't think that this should be the case, because if you look at it without looking at things from the marketing perspective, it's when I'm upgrading a full number, when I'm going from a version to version, there should be something that justifies this. Because, for example, WhatsApp is still just 2 point something, the version of WhatsApp. And you know how much differences are between the early WhatsApp versions and the new WhatsApp versions. So if WhatsApp wanted to go that route, the version could be now maybe WhatsApp 200 something or 300 something. But I know that people don't look at the WhatsApp version or the app version, but they just look at the Android version.
It totally makes sense, because when we're saying I'm looking for a phone, the question is, what Android version does it run? And so it's easier to say this is running Android 12. Then I know, oh, I don't want that. It's an older version of Android, or versus does it have Android 16 yet? No one's going to say, does it have Android 15.1 or does it? No, we're looking at Android versions. So if I'm looking for a phone, I don't want to get a phone with Android 13, Android 14, or Android 15. That's from a few years ago. And so if I want a phone today, I want something that at least has Android 16. So to me, the numbering makes sense, and you said it makes it easier for marketing and all of that. So I think it's a better implementation when one compared it to the previous numbering system that we used to have, which is just kind of like a mufflehead kind of, I don't know. I don't even have the adjective to describe it.
I'm with Green on this. I prefer the previous implementation because the number means something, but Apple ruined everything. Like that, when the iPhone came out and they had supposedly a new version of iOS every year that was a bigger number, then Android felt like they had to keep up with them, and they stopped doing that, the point releases, and just started adding a new version every year. And now that iOS has jumped to the year, just to make it seem like it's further along, I wouldn't be surprised if Android did the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I don't want. I don't want us to see Android 2026, Android 2027. Let's stop that. Well, I mean, if they want to do it, but I think kind of like the numbering where we are right now. So next year would be Android 18 or whatever. But if Google decides to change it to Android 2027, well, I guess we have no choice in the matter. But I hope they don't follow Fruitvale, Apple. But Apple sometimes is a trendsetter, and they do it, and then the others follow them like sheep to the slaughter. And so we'll see what happens.
Up next is the App of the Week segment. This is a segment dedicated to app demonstrations. Should you have an app that you would like to demonstrate for our listeners, feel free to send us the recording of such an app demo to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your App of the Week.
And now we are going to close the episode with an app of the week, and I will be demonstrating a podcast player. Hello, John here, and today I'm going to be demonstrating a podcast player app called Anytime Podcast Player.
Anytime Podcast Player.
And the developer,
Ben Hills.
is Ben Hills. I'm in the Play Store now. I'm going to install it.
Install button. Verified by Play Protect. Pending. Cancel button. Anytime Podcast Player. 100%. Installing.
This is a pretty simple podcast playing app, but it is one of the most, if not the most accessible that I've come across. So I figured I'd demonstrate it for the podcast.
Open button.
Can I open it?
Anytime Player. Search for podcasts button.
So we go right into the main interface of the app. As you heard, the first button near the top left is search for podcasts. I'm going to swipe right.
Open the Up Next queue button.
This is near the top right,
Show menu button collapsed.
and this is at the top right. I'm going to swipe again.
Tap the Discovery button below or use the search bar above to find your first podcast.
So this is just the message that you get when you don't have any podcasts yet that you're subscribed to. And then below this, along the bottom, we have 3 tabs.
Library, tab 1 of free, button, selected. Discover, tab 2 of free, button. Downloads, tab 3 of free, button.
So that's pretty much the entire interface. So it's pretty straightforward. But the first thing I'm going to do is go into the settings and show you some of the settings because I need to import my library.
Search for podcasts, button.
I'm going to go to the menu near the top right.
Open the Up Next queue, button. Show menu, button, collapsed.
I'm first going to show you what's in this menu.
Pop-up menu, feedback, button.
This will take you to a Google form where you could send feedback. It'll also give you the email address if you just want to send an email directly.
Layout, button.
I'll show you the layout while I'm here. I'm going to double tap on this.
Dialog, list view, checkbox, checked.
So you have 3 choices. You have a list view,
Compact grid view, checkbox.
you have compact grid view. This means you'll have 4 columns in the grid.
Grid view, checkbox.
Regular grid view, you have 3 columns.
Highlight new episodes, switch off.
Then you have the option to let it tell you the count of how many new episodes
Show unplayed count, switch off.
and the count of how many unplayed episodes. Not only are there visual indicators, but it also relays that information to TalkBack, so you will hear how many unplayed or new episodes you have if you have these turned on.
Sort by, alphabetical, button.
And now you can choose your sorting order. I'm going to actually change this and show you the options in here.
Alert, alphabetical, radio button, checked. Date followed, radio button. Unplayed episodes, radio button. Latest episodes, radio button.
This is how I like to have them sorted, so I'm going to double tap here. This is the last option in this list.
Dialog, sort by, latest episodes, button.
And I'm going to swipe one more time.
Dismiss layout selector.
Something I really appreciate about this app is there's a dismiss area in pretty much all pop-up menus. So if you explore outside the menu, you'll put that dismiss area in focus, or if you swipe through all the items in the menu, the last item will be dismiss, and you can just double tap here to close the menu.
Show menu button collapsed.
I'm going to go back in the menu.
Pop-up menu layout button.
I also like that it remembers where the talkback focus was, so we're here on layout still. I'm going to swipe right.
Add RSS feed button.
Here's where you go to add a podcast manually.
Refresh library button.
This will force refresh your library if you think it's missing some episodes that should be in there.
Settings button.
Now I'm going to go through the settings really quick. There's not much in here.
Settings close button. Settings. Personalization. Theme dark theme button.
You have 3 options: dark theme, light theme, or follow the system theme.
Episodes.
You have a couple of options that you can adjust related to episodes.
Mark deleted episodes as played. Switch off.
I'm going to leave this off.
Delete downloaded episodes once played. Switch off.
Same with this one.
Playback.
Then we have some playback options.
Full screen player mode on episode start. Switch off.
If you turn this on, obviously, it will take you to the full screen player when you start an episode. If you leave it off, it will just open a mini player near the bottom of the screen just above the tabs.
Continuous play. Automatically play the next episode in the podcast if the queue is empty. Switch off.
I like to turn this on. One minor thing I noticed is that when you toggle switches, the new state is not announced. You have to actually leave the item and come back to know that it has worked, but I have sounds and vibration turned on, so I felt and heard that it was activated. Moving on.
Podcast management. Refresh podcasts every 3 hours button.
I like to change this.
Alert. Refresh podcasts. Never. Radio button. Every hour. Radio button. Settings. Refresh podcasts every hour button. Background refresh. Refresh episodes when the screen is off. This will increase battery usage. Switch off.
I also recommend turning this on. I find that it keeps my library up to date better without me having to manually refresh it. Also, I haven't noticed any hit to my battery, so it's nice that the warning was there, but I would recommend turning this on for a better experience.
Refresh when on mobile data. Allow the library to be refreshed when on mobile data. Switch off.
I'm going to leave this off.
Notifications. Refresh notification. Show a notification icon when episodes are being refreshed. Switch off.
I'm going to leave this off as well.
Data. Import OPML button.
And at the very bottom, we have import and export. I'm going to go ahead and do an import to have my library in here.
Recent. Show routes button.
So now I've navigated to my downloads folder where I had it saved, and I'm just going to double tap on it.
Anytime_export OPML 4.24 kilobytes 9:14 a.m. Anytime_export OPML.
This is where I had saved it earlier, so opening this.
Anytime player. Import OPML. Importing.
I'll edit that out, but it took about a minute, and it put me back in the settings. So I'm going to back out of the settings now.
Show menu button collapsed. Show menu button collapsed.
Now I'm going to open this menu one last time,
Pop-up menu. Settings button.
just to show you what's past settings.
About button.
This is where you'd go to see the version number and so on, and then that's the end of the menu.
Dismiss menu. Show menu button collapsed.
And swiping from here will take me into my list of podcasts.
Get Up, ESPN, Mike Greenberg, Jalen Rose button.
And you can just continue to swipe through your list.
Stuff you should know. I heart podcasts button.
And this app does support actions, so I'll show you what actions are here.
Play latest episode. Cue latest episode. Play next unplayed episode. Cue next unplayed episode.
So you don't actually even have to go into the podcast page to find the episode if you already know you want to listen to the most recent, which is usually what I do. So that's a nice touch. At this point, I'm just going to add a couple of episodes to the queue to show you the queue.
Activate. Play latest episode. Cue latest episode.
So there was no confirmation that it happened, but it did. I'm going to keep swiping through.
Dateline NBC. NBC News button. Play latest episode. Cue latest episode. Science Friday and WNYC Studios, button. Play latest episode. Cue latest episode.
So now that I have added some to my queue, I'm going to show you the queue. I'm going to go back up to the top,
Search for podcasts, button.
swiping to the right.
Open the Up Next queue, button. Up Next, back, button. Up Next. Playing next. Clear queue, button.
There's a button where you can clear it.
How lasers work. 1 hour ago, 46 minutes, 42.9 megabytes, button.
And I just wanted to show you that the actions on this screen will help you to adjust your queue if that's something you want to do.
Move down. Move to the end. Activate.
Because I'm on the first item, those were my only two options, but you also have move up and move to beginning. So it's very easy to adjust the playback order if you want to do that. And if you double tap on anything in your queue, when the actions are still set to activate, that will just play that item. Backing out of here, we'll go back to the main screen.
Open the Up Next queue, button. Open the Up Next queue, button.
I'm just gonna open a podcast here to show you what the podcast page looks like.
Windows Weekly Audio, Twit, button.
Opening this up.
Podcast details and episodes page.
I'm just going to swipe through the items on this screen to show you what's here.
Go back, button. Windows Weekly Audio, Twit. Expand podcast description, button.
Now, I think this is just a visual thing. I believe TalkBack will actually read you the entire description when you put it in focus, whether it's showing on the screen or not.
Windows Weekly is about more than Windows. Veteran Microsoft insiders Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell join Leo for a deep dive.
I'll stop that because we don't need to know all of it, but continuing on.
Unfollow, button.
Here's where you would unsubscribe. Moving on.
Options menu, button, collapsed, show menu.
Here are the options we have in here.
Pop-up menu, mark all episodes as played, button. Mark all episodes as unplayed, button. Refresh episodes, button. Share podcast, button. Open show website, button. Dismiss menu.
Closing this.
Options menu, button, collapsed, show menu.
And moving on.
Search episodes, button.
You can search just within this podcast if you want.
Sort episodes, button.
You can sort the episodes by
Dialogue. Sort episodes. Default. Selected. Latest first. Earliest first. Alphabetical A to Z. Alphabetical ZA. Dismiss episode sort. Sort episodes, button.
and then you can also
Filter episodes, button.
filter the episodes.
Dialogue. Filter episodes.
And here's your options.
None. Selected. Started. Played. Unplayed. Dismiss episode filter.
So those are your options of filtering.
Filter episodes, button.
Now continuing on.
Podcast funding, button, collapsed, show menu.
And then past this podcast funding button, you will have your list of episodes. And you can just swipe through them.
WW970, Token Kill, what version 20? WW969, The Hidden Sweatshop, window. WW968, Uncharted Territory.
And as you can hear, every time I swipe, it goes directly from episode to episode, which is nice. You don't have to worry about swiping past the play or download buttons or anything like that in the interface. When you want to take action on it, you just double tap and it'll bring up a menu.
Dialogue. Episode actions. Play episode. Download episode. Add episode to queue. Mark episode is played. Show episode information. Close button.
And those are all your options.
WW960.
While I'm here, I'm just going to download a couple of episodes so that I can show you the download page later. Just going to double tap.
Dialogue. Close button.
Again, we're in the menu.
Show episode information. Mark episode is played. Add episode to queue. Download episode.
I'm going to hit download.
WW968. WW969. The Hidden Dialogue. Download episode.
And I like that it remembers the talkback focus in the menu, so if you're going to repeat an action, it makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to just download a couple more episodes.
WW969. WW970. Token Kill. What dialogue? Download episode. WW970. Token Kill.
All right, so I have 3 downloaded now. That's good enough. I'm going to back out of here.
Windows Weekly Audio. Twit button.
And now going down to the tabs at the bottom.
Downloads. Tab 3 of free button.
I'm going a little out of order here, but I'm going to show you the downloads page.
Downloads. Tab 3 of free. Selected.
And it's just a list
WW969.
of the episodes, and when you double tap on one,
Dialogue. Episode actions. Play downloaded episode.
here are the actions you can take on it.
Delete downloaded episode. Add episode to queue. Mark episode is played. Show episode information. Close button.
So I'm going to close the menu.
WW969.
Going back down to the bottom.
Downloads. Tab 3 of free button selected.
Now I'm going to show you the middle tab
Discover. Tab 2 of free button.
to show you how you would add a podcast. This is similar. You could search for one, or you can just look through them.
Discover. Tab 2 of free selected.
Going to the top
Search for podcasts button.
and going to the next container,
All button selected.
we have a way to sort.
Arts button. Business button.
All was selected, as you heard,
Comedy button.
but you can choose a genre if you want.
Comedy selected.
And then I'm going to go to the next container again. There's just a list of podcasts, and this will be in the same layout that you have chosen for your main page. So your library, and when you're looking through podcasts here, will have a similar layout. So I've left it on the list, so this is a list.
The Joe Rogan Experience. Joe Rogan button.
And double tapping on any of these will take you to the same podcast page I showed you earlier. The only difference being that the unfollow button will be a follow button, so you could subscribe to it that way. The last thing I'm going to show you is the player itself. So I'm going to go to the library.
Library. Tab 1 of free button. Library. Tab 1 of free selected.
I'm just going to tap something in the list,
Daily Tech News Show. Tom Merritt button.
and I'm going to use actions to just play the most recent episode.
Play latest episode.
That new thing? Yeah, we've got it. The Drop by
Okay, so I've paused it, and down near the bottom you'll find the player.
Mini player. Swipe right to play pause button. Activate to open main player window. AI builds itself and might be coming for your job. DTNS 5204.
So if you double tap here, it'll take you to the full screen player. To the right of this is
Fast forward episode 30 seconds button.
skip forward, and
Play episode button.
but I'm going to open the main player.
Mini player. Open playing options slider. Dialogue. Main player window.
And then I'm just going to show you the controls you have in here.
Minimize player window button. Episode. Tab 1 of 2. Selected.
Now, if the podcast supports Podcasting 2.0 standards as far as chapter markers, they will show up here as the first tab. But because this podcast does not, we just have two tabs. Episode, as you heard, and
Notes. Tab 2 of 2.
notes. So that's where you'd go to see the show notes. Continuing to swipe.
Podcast artwork. Image. AI builds itself and might be coming for your job. DTNS 5204. Episode position 0 hours 0 minutes and 4 seconds. 0 hours 0 minutes and 4 seconds. 0 hours 0 minutes and 4 seconds. Slider.
And this slider does work with swiping up and down.
Time remaining 0 hours 33 minutes and 27 seconds.
And then below this, we just have pretty standard controls.
Sleep timer button. Rewind episode 10 seconds button. Play episode button. Fast forward episode 30 seconds button. Playback speed 1.0 button.
And these back 10 seconds, forward 30 seconds are not customizable, but they do work with headset controls as well. And then below these controls we have,
Open playing options slider.
and this will open
Close playing options slider.
two tabs we have at the bottom here.
Up next, tab 1 of 2. Selected.
The up next
Transcript, tab 2 of 2.
and the transcript. So if the podcast has a transcript, you can view it here, but the selected tab is the up next queue. So if I continue swiping,
Now playing, playing next. AI builds itself and might be coming for your job. DTNS 5204. 18 hours ago, 37 minutes, 21.0 megabytes. Image disabled.
Then you have
Clear queue button.
clear queue, and below this you have everything else that's in your queue.
How lasers work. 1 hour ago.
So that's stuff that I had added earlier. One more thing I wanted to point out is that audio ducking works the way it's supposed to with TalkBack. It just lowers the volume instead of trying to pause the media. Some audio apps pause the media every time TalkBack says something, which can be annoying. So this does not do that, which is a good thing. But I think that brings us to the end of this demonstration. I'm pretty happy with the app, and the developer has been very receptive to improvements, and I am pretty confident that the app will only get better from here. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for that demonstration, John. You and I like simplistic apps, and this is interesting. I came across this app back in 2022, and I wrote to Ben about it, and he was going to do some things about it, and I totally forgot about it. And thanks to you, John, you brought this back. You resurrected something I'd forgotten about, and it's actually a very nice podcasting app. And if you don't care about syncing across different devices, I mean, for me, I have a dedicated device that I use for my podcasting, so I don't care about syncing across devices. I like that simplicity. I'm all about simplicity. You guys have heard me talk about simplistic apps time and time again, and this is one of those. And thanks to you, John, for bringing this back because I totally forgotten about it, and now I'm using it. It's a great app.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was probably about 6 months ago, maybe it was less than a year ago, but I tried it and I noticed I could tell by the app that it was the accessibility was the focus. Like I could just tell by it was meant to work good with a screen reader. But I came across a couple of things, like when I went to change the speed, to increase the speed and decrease the speed, the buttons were not labeled. So I was like, I'm going to write the developer and see if he'll fix this stuff. So I wrote it to him and he said, thanks for letting me know. And he fixed it. So I picked it up, I guess a month ago, again, just to see if I noticed anything different. And I could not find anything wrong with it. And I even found that he started implementing actions, which is rare. Google doesn't even have actions in a lot of their apps. So I was impressed by it. Like you said, there's not much to it. It's very basic, but if you just want something to play your podcasts, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, it's not a complicated app. And that's what I like about it, because some of the apps have too much in it and it becomes a chore. I'm looking at a confused screen reader here, Karen, and one of the reasons why. So Anytime Player, like I said, I came across it in 2022, and I wrote to the guy. Back then, the buttons were not labeled, but then he fixed them. But I haven't been back to it in a while. But for me, at the bottom, you have those 3 tabs, and then everything is very simplistic. You don't have a bloated settings, and there are some. I'm looking at you, the Addict. Gosh, that thing makes me dizzy. Excuse me if you love the podcast Addict, but I couldn't use that thing. It's too I don't know, complicated for my own liking. But I really like this app, and I've switched to using this app because of its simplicity. And again, John, thanks for bringing this back and reminding me, because it was just sitting there in my library, and I've started using it, and I'm liking it. So it's nice to have another good podcasting client there besides some of the few that we talked about. And so now my 3 go-tos would be, that Anytime Player. You got the Antenna Pod, and then I also have that Pocket Casts, and then I think there's another one, Audios, and Audios I use exclusively because of a TV station. So thanks again for resurrecting the good stuff.
I just want to say one comment. I can't talk about the app itself because, I'm not the podcast person. But I want to say that we received the app as an app recommendation from the developer himself on Accessible Android. So you know that we have the form, they recommend an app form. So a user or a developer can just send us the app name, description, and the user comments and accessibility notes. And we add the app if it meets the requirements and standards of the website. So what happened is that the developer himself filled the form and sent us the application. So this meant something, and this is actually what John also talked about, which is the care about accessibility. And such developers really deserve appreciation, really deserve talking about their efforts, because, okay, whether I use an app or not is completely different than if the developer cares about accessibility or not. So it's not important if I use the app or not. The important thing is that the developer cares about accessibility and considers doing improvements. And unfortunately, big companies sometimes ignore accessibility completely, while the indie developers and small teams just are ready to do all of the necessary improvements. So kudos to the developer. And we have the app. Actually, we have also our accessibility notes provided by John about the accessibility experience, but it's always great to see a developer taking time to send their app to a website which is dedicated to accessibility. This means a lot.
Now, since the developer send it out there, Carrie, and that should itself make you start listening to podcasts. So I want to see you starting to use that podcast client. Is that
I should install it. I should keep it on my device just to say thank you.
Thank you so much.
All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us.
Well, folks, I think with that, though, we're coming to the end of this episode. And as always, John is here again to give you information on how you can get hold of us. John?
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Well, thank you so much, John. And again, it's been wonderful having you guys on this love day, loveless day, whatever day you want to call it, Valentine's. Just joking with you guys. But we appreciate you guys listening to us week in, week out, whatever the case may be. It's been great having you on this beautiful Valentine Day. And from me, I want to say bye and, keep that Valentine fire going if you like Valentine. And if you're not like me and Karen, who really don't care, every day is a love day, then keep that love going on every day. Don't restrict it to one day.
Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.